Hi there, Simon Bennett from OMB Solicitors, and welcome back to the OMB Law Board. This guy is the voice of surf. He's the voice of the Gold Coast, weather, TV, all-round media personality, and I got to say, one of my great friends. Welcome to the podcast, Luke Bradnam.
Benno, you missed the most, thank you for having me, by the way, but you missed the most important part of the introduction is I am single-handedly the guy that makes Benno feel good about his golf game. We're golf mates from way back. We've known each other since we were 12 years of age, both fallen in love with the game of golf, and I'm sure that Benno only plays with me because I make you look very, very good on the golf course.
Full disclaimer, that's not entirely true. We have a great time. It's a great relax. And I do love getting out on the weekend and playing golf. And Luke is a fantastic golfer and a good bloke to have on the golf course. So thanks for coming in, Luke. I really appreciate it.
No, good. I'm excited to be here actually because you and I come from two very different worlds. From the moment we left school, we went to high school together. I went down the path of getting involved in the media, which I love. I love what I do. And you went down the law path. It's funny, when you asked me to come on, we were out playing golf, and I went, why the hell would you have me on? Like we are from two different worlds, but the more I thought about it, our worlds do intersect quite often. And as I look back at my career and the times where I've had the need to unfortunately bring lawyers in with whatever shenanigans I've been up to at the time, it's something that does play a vital role on a day-to-day basis for not just me in the media, but for every person that's involved in mainstream media.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point you make because, they're intrinsically linked in a way, not only in the coverage of legal matters through media, but also on your day-to-day reporting and involvement and interaction with people. I'm sure you have massive legal teams that, are either defending you or advising you as to what you can and can't do. So there is a link there, even though our careers seem so separate.
Yeah, you're right, Benno. But one of the things that I'm excited to get into today is, even though I'm from mainstream media, which is your TV, newspapers and radio, I think an important topic for us to cover off on is that nowadays we're all in the media. We're all on social media, and there's responsibilities that we have, which are almost a sixth sense to us now from mainstream media with regards to our legal obligations, that people on social media might not know that they have to abide by as well, and that there's severe ramifications should they run foul of the law, particularly defamation. That's something which, is drummed into us from the moment you set foot behind a microphone or in front of a TV. But I don't know that people in society are as aware of their responsibilities and how crucial it could be to their bank account that they know those rules and regulations, because there's no compliance, right, to be on social media.
Correct.
We're all on social media, and there's zero compliance training that you have to undergo to be able to post or to comment on a post. And it's something I think that everybody needs to certainly have a look at.
So I just think that's an unbelievably strong point because we see it all the time. But tell us a little bit about what your training in that regard has looked like through your media career, because, as you said, mainstream media, it's drilled into you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so it's not like you don't have to go to university and sit a law degree or anything like that, but we have a compliance training which you have to do every year. And for me, because I've been involved in my career on TV, radio and newspapers, it's 3 compliance, a year that you have to get through. And if you don't sit it, then you're in breach of the Broadcasting Regulation Act. So technically you shouldn't be on air.
Right.
It's not saying that, me, but I'm not always completely up to date, and I'll push the boundaries as much as I can, and most people do. But you eventually, even as thick as I am, you do that compliance training every year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year. Some of it seeps through. And like I said earlier, it does become instinct. to with regards to particularly defamation, and it's something that it's pretty easy to get your head around, that what is right, what's wrong, particularly on radio. If I ever get into trouble from doing a weather broadcast defaming somebody, then I've really messed up. But the bottom line is that you sometimes even knowing the defamation laws as well as you think you do, you can still get into trouble.
Yeah. So we find, and you touched on this earlier, but we find that this keyboard warrior, right, and this social media world that we live in, that I think I can just comment freely without any ramifications whatsoever socially or online about people in any way I choose. And a lot of people don't understand that that can be defamatory, and I can take action against you for your comments. And as you said, it could not only have financial effects, but it could be more severe than that.
Oh yeah, and it's not only that. So if I was to defame you, for example, on Facebook, and write something about you that's not true, and someone's going to think less of you because of what I've written, not only could you sue me, but you could also sue the social media outlet that has helped post that. Whoever is running that organisation,
the publication.
Yeah, you can sue the publication. So I think that people do think that there's a certain anonymity with regards to their online presence, and they can post whatever they like. A rugby league game, for example, your team gets a bad penalty and you write something horrible about the referee, which is not true. That's defamatory.
Yeah.
And you, in the spur of the moment on your social media, there's cases where people have liked a comment or retweeted a comment that has been made. They haven't even made them. They've just liked them or retweeted them, where it's been looked at as closely for defamation as well.
That's republication. So once you republish something, you have a liability with that. And, people need to understand that. So that's a good intersection between our two industries.
Yeah, but that's everyone's industry now. That's my point with regards to media. It's not just people on TV anymore. It's every single one of us have got to know those, and there's no codes with regards to social media as well. So in other words, when I'm on Channel 9 and doing the weather, or we're broadcasting a live coverage of a cyclone or something like this, I have certain responsibilities that are dictated by the Australian Broadcasting Commission, right?
Yeah.
I have to abide by those. I can't instill panic. I've got to give a clear and concise message. There's lots of different regulations that I have to abide by. On social media, you don't have to abide by the broadcasting regulations. You only have to abide by the regulations of that particular social media platform. So Instagram or Facebook, whatever they deem to be appropriate. So you don't even have to be right in what you're saying. Your message doesn't even have to have any truth to it, but you can still broadcast that. Mainstream media, we cop like people want to say, the mainstream media, they give us a hard time, but we have to abide by regulations. There's way more BS on your social media platforms than you'll find on any TV station anywhere in the world as a result.
Yeah. Understanding that power of the media, mainstream media seems to have these ethical responsibilities you talked about. You understand the power you have to influence public trust or public opinion. And I know misinformation and disinformation, particularly in social media, has had massive effects on elections and other mass, public relationship exercises that I think shows a real difference in something that's regulated and something that's not.
And we're going more towards the media that's not regulated. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Like, we're doing a podcast here today. Podcasts are, like, if you look at the last election, the US election, Joe Rogan had Donald Trump on, and he reached over 40 million people within 2 days, just going on that one podcast, right? Yep. And for him to have got the same traction on mainstream media, he would have had to have been on CNN for something like 3 hours a night for 40 nights
Wow.
to reach 40 million people. So we are, as a society, going towards this new form of media, social media. But I do think that it's something that we need to look at with regards to how it's regulated, how much truth there is in it, and certainly for those of us that are just involved in perhaps commenting or posting or whatever, know your responsibilities with regards to defamation, because you only have to Google it to see I think Mark Latham right now is just involved in he wrote a comment on Twitter, X. He's been sued for defamation,
Yeah.
$500,000.
Yeah.
And it's a dopey comment on social media could really cost you.
So I think for our viewers and listeners, what's really important to think about is when you're on socials or you're doing comments or whatever it may be, and it may be that you've had a couple of drinks, you're doing it late at night, you're emotional, or you're commenting on someone else's posts. As Luke's told you, mainstream media is heavily regulated in this regard. You should definitely pause and take thought and think about it, because, our team here at OMB Solicitors, particularly our litigation team, is getting really inundated with claims for defamation.
From social media?
From social media.
Really?
We've had cases where we've actually been able to serve people through social media.
Really?
So rather than serve them with court proceedings, because we may not have, a physical address, etc., but we have an online address, we can get an order for substituted service, and I can serve you through your Facebook account or your Instagram account, etc., for comments that you may have made socially.
Yeah, I've never been sued for defamation.
That's surprising.
No, it is. Well, if a group is playing slow in front of us in golf, I'm certainly defaming them to you, right? No, I've come close a couple of times. I've been threatened a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it's not a fun place to be, right? It's just not a fun place to be because of what you're talking about there. You're talking about representing people that are going through it, regardless of whether it gets to as far as actually being served, as you're saying.
Yep.
Just the fact that you've got to bring in lawyers and waste money and time on a comment that you made, it's something that you try to steer clear of.
And it's stressful.
Oh, it's really stressful. I had one. The first time I ever had a run-in with being threatened to get sued it was actually here on the Gold Coast, and it was a developer. And he'd run foul of the law sometimes. He was part of the White Shoe Brigade, like I am today. He was, and he was on front page of the paper. And I thought that this guy was 60 years of age, right? And I'm doing a breakfast radio, and they put his age on the front page of the paper, and he was 40. He was 40 years of age. I always thought he was 60, and all I said was, this guy ages like, I said, I can't believe he's only 40. He ages like a banana, this guy. And I said, he must have sandpaper as part of his beauty regime, right? And I didn't know, he's driving around the Gold Coast listening. And he rings up and he threatens to sue. And somehow he found that was defamatory. It wasn't. That's not defamatory. Yeah. And we knew it wasn't defamatory, but just the hoops we had to jump through was something as ridiculous as that, because there is something, I did genuinely believe he was older. So it was, that's
a genuinely held belief.
It was, that was my first insight into the world of defamation, even though it didn't proceed.
And as a weatherman, Luke, you've never been threatened.
The Sun has tried to sue me for defamation before, Benno, because I've badmouthed it a few times.
But don't you usually put a disclaimer in? I mean, every time I see you disclaiming. So sunny with a chance of rain.
Mate.
That's the greatest disclaimer in the world.
The only way I dodge every legal field in the law world by just simply giving the same forecast every night, which is chance of showers. I've never been wrong once.
And you haven't been threatened by someone going away for the weekend. You said it was going to be raining all weekend and it turned out to be sunny.
I should sue for defamation. What Benno's alluding to is a little while back, probably a year ago, I can't remember the specifics of it. You might be able to, Benno, because I came to golf and I was full of it. But I'd got the weather forecast wrong. Maybe I said it was going to be sunny and it rained, or
I think a listener had planned a weekend away, and you said it had been sunny and it rained and
right,
ruined their weekend away.
ruined their weekend away. They called me a window licker. And I came to Gulf and I said, of all the insults I've had, I don't know why this one stings, and I think it's because I don't know what it means. But yeah, I should have got him because it stuck. And to this day, in amongst my golf mates, I'm known as the window licker, and I still don't know what it means.
But
I'm pretty sure it's defamatory.
And again, it's a great example of someone making a comment which is completely inappropriate and probably defamatory. And, they think because they're doing it on social media that they're going to get away with it, and it has no effect. But the fact is it does.
Yeah. And it's, another one. This was one where this was an interesting one on radio that I had, whereby we actually did have to go to the next stage of bringing in lawyers. And what it was there was an Australian sporting identity. He's from the world of rugby league. And this is going back a long time ago. It's about 15 years ago or so. And he had bought out this ridiculous service whereby for $4.95 you could ring on a Saturday morning this phone number and get his thoughts on the rugby league game that was on the night before, the Friday night game. And I was like on the radio going, who the hell's going to pay $4.95 to listen to this guy's thoughts on the Friday night game? Well, I paid the $4.95 and I recorded the call, and then I was able, because he gave his name, let's say his name was my name, which is Luke Bradnam, he'd start the recording off by going, "G'day, it's Luke Bradnam here. And what about last night's game? Blah, 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 blah." He'd bang on. But I was able to use the little sound bites of that to ring other rugby league identities. And I had this guy saying his name, and they thought they were talking to this actual guy, and it was comedy gold. So you'd get these rugby league guys embroiled in a conversation with
A recording.
Yeah, recording, and of course I could play the recordings of him, and they were farcical. But he brought in his lawyers and said that it was against the law. Our station argued that we'd paid the $4.95 for the recordings, therefore we could do whatever we wanted with them. And we got a cease and desist from his lawyers. But my station backed me, and we went down the legal path on it. In the end, we did have to stop, but it was on copyright grounds.
Right.
Because we paid the $4.95, didn't give us right to actually use it. All we were allowed to do legally was listen to it.
Not reproduce
it. So, it was, and it pains me that because it was bloody funny.
Well, the last thing I really wanted to touch on with you, because I just think this is a great story, and I think our listeners will really take something out of it. The Olympics, Chiaopou, what an amazing last man standing story you had over there.
Yeah.
Just run us through that briefly, because it was really amazing for those of you who don't know. Luke went over and was covering the Olympic surfing, very, very remote location, and ended up being the last man standing. Was famous overnight throughout America and half the world.
It was unreal, Benno. I've been involved in the media industry for 30 odd years, and this one fell in my lap, and I grabbed it with both hands. But I to go back, 6 months, a year or so before the Olympics, I get a phone call from Channel 9, and they say, "Luke, you're going to Paris." And I said, "What for?" And they go, you're going to cover the surfing at the Olympics." And I said, "But the surfing's in Tahiti." And they went, "Is it? Okay, well, you're going to Tahiti," right? So I covered the surfing in Tahiti, and there was 4 broadcasters. There was ourselves from Channel 9, there was NBC from America, and 2 South American stations, both from Brazil, that had access to the athletes. The American guy from NBC, who was a really good bloke, his name is Colin Jost. He's married to Scarlett Johansson. And for whatever reason, after a day of being in Tahiti, he just left. He was there with a whole crew of people, and he had one person just to do his hair, and the next day they just weren't there, and NBC were left without a reporter. And because I was the only one that spoke English, they got me to then cover for NBC as well. So I got my start on American TV. I was doing America, Australia, and by the end, a TV station which I still haven't even Googled, but TV Telemundo. I was there covering for them as well. So yeah, it was definitely a career highlight. And that's one of the things I love about the media, Benno. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, that was fantastic, and we were certainly watching from afar, very proud of the coverage you got, and you went viral throughout America. They couldn't work out who this Aussie bloke calling the surfing was. So congratulations, Luke. It's been fantastic having you in. It's interesting to see the intersection between our two worlds, and I think our viewers and our listeners would have found that super informative and exciting, and always with you, very, very entertaining. So thanks for coming in.
No, thanks very much, Benno. And be careful what you write in the comments about this podcast. We'll be looking, and I got a lawyer on my side here. No, thanks for having me, Benno.